What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. But before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and that the player ratings and potentials may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. You don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just want some help, or for those of you out there who may just be stuck for ideas on what players you could sign for a certain team in career mode. So of course, last night in Who to Sign For series, we returned with a big Italian side, Milan. Now we're returning to the Premier League and we're going to use the Toffees. Yes, Everton of Goodison Park, who actually play tonight, funnily enough, and host Everton, I do believe. Oh, no, this is Everton, you stupid idiot. Host Arsenal, I do believe, in the Premier League. And I thought I'd take a look at Ronald Koeman's side and show how to improve the boys from Goodison Park. So as we start off then in the episode here, as per usual, we take a look at the objectives, the squad report, and so on and so forth. And as you can see, the objectives for Everton in the first season, what they're supposed to do in the league, they have to finish in a Champions League place. So that's a top 4 finish in the league. Although, funny enough, their continental success objective is to qualify for the Europa League. So I don't know what's going on there. But for the FA Cup as well, they're supposed to reach the semi-final. So no silverware required in the first season at Goodison Park with Everton, but qualify for the Champions League is a strong aim in the league and also reach the semi-final of the FA Cup. Now, what's Everton's side like? You start in Everton career mode, what's their team like? Well, it's a pretty decent team. The thing about Everton, which I really like as well, is that it's a really nice blend of experienced players that still have quite a good amount of quality and also young talent coming through as well. When we talk about the former, you have the likes of Gareth Barry, Phil Jagielka, a new signing, Ashley Williams, the former Swansea centre-half, Leighton Baines playing left-back. Some good experience in the team that is still in the first 11, but also some great youngsters coming through. The likes of Romelu Lukaku up top, Ross Barkley playing just behind him, Gerard De La Fea on the right-hand side. It's a really, really awesome team to begin with, and a very fun side as well, I feel. Quite a creative side, and certainly one which I think you'd have quite a lot of fun with. So this is their squad report then, and also look at their... did I show the lineup? I think I might have forgot to show the lineup. Oh, sorry about that, but I usually record the lineup as well. Sorry about that, but anyway, it's a decent side anyway. You saw the squad report. It's a decent side, and as for contract problems, these are the guys that have 1 year left on their deal. I would only recommend giving one contract, and that's to Tyus Browning, who you don't have to give a new deal to straight away. You can wait until the end of the season before offering him a contract, as he's under the age of 23. And there's something else I've missed as well. Oh my goodness, I'm supposed to show you the loan list as well. The players are out on loan right now. Wow, I'm silly. I'm very stupid. I do apologise, because I'm 3 minutes into the video and I've missed 2 things that I normally record. Sorry about that, but you guys know what to expect anyway. The squad looks pretty decent, and that's pretty much that. So for new signings, Everton, then that's what you came here for. You didn't come here to find out what players are out on loan right now and what the first 11 looks like. You came here for new signings for Everton. Now, if you're looking at new signings for Everton, the one player I'd definitely recommend is this guy right here, William Carvalho. Now, of course, their squad, as you saw in the squad report, is a really decent side, but it could be improved. And for me, the defensive midfield position is one area to look at. Now, it's kind of ironic because probably one of their strongest areas is actually that central midfield position. They've got loads of good players there. They're even in the reserves like Besic and Cleverley, for example. But I still think improving that DM area is one to look into, especially with Gareth Barry due to leave the club either at the end of the season or during the season for you. The player I'd recommend is this guy right here, William Carvalho. I've shown him so many times before. He's 24 years old, 83 overall, plays for Sporting in Portugal. He's an absolute man-mountain in the defensive midfield position. Really, really strong. Very, very good defence-minded player. He'll really protect your back line. It'll cost you about £27 million, so £5 million over his valuation. But one of the big bonuses to Carvalho is that despite 83 overall, he's on a really low salary and won't ask for much more money either. The guy doesn't care about the money, he just loves playing football. So it'll cost you about 20 grand a week on a 5-year deal. He's 24 years old. You see his stats right here. He's absolutely fantastic. 6'2", medium-high work rates. Definitely a target I would say you need to bring in. Now, for new signings for Everton as well as Carvalho, this is one I would definitely recommend. This guy probably should have been the first guy I went in for. A new goalkeeper for Everton, in my opinion, is a mandatory position to look for a new signing for. Now, of course, they've just signed Stecklenburg, who's pretty decent, and of course, they've got Joel Robles as well, the former Wigan goalkeeper, but I would still say it's worth signing a new goalkeeper anyway, because those two are in the mid-70s for overall. You want someone that's better, you want someone that's going to come in and already be in the first team, and also someone that's younger as well and has potential. Alphonse Areola, currently playing for PSG right now, very talented young French goalkeeper in his early 20s. He starts off 81 overall, and his full potential gets to 89 overall. So when this guy is at his peak, he's 89 overall, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You want to bring this guy in and make him your number one right from the beginning. You may have to spend a little bit over his valuation, but trust me when I tell you, he will be worth it. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, and again, when he hits his full potential, 89 overall, he's going to be an absolute animal between the sticks. But still, for sales for Everton as well, you'll notice me selling some players here. Kone going to Middlesbrough for £2.7 million. Gareth Barry in the end goes to Manchester United. How about that as well, for a couple million too. I would definitely recommend selling on those players that are either in their 30s or approaching 30 that don't have much of a future in the Everton side. You'll see quite a few players in this episode that I do look to replace, and one of those is Darren Gibson as well. Funny enough, talking to United, an ex-Manchester United midfielder that goes to Southampton for £8 million. You want to sell these guys who don't have much potential, don't have much of a long-term future, as you begin to look for younger replacements that are going to be more, what's the word right here? What's the word I'm looking for? Players that have more potential, basically, and are going to be far better for the now and also for the future at Everton as well. So Alphonse Areola, as you can see, PSG eventually did accept our bid here for the French goalkeeper. Again, 23 years old, 81 overall. I believe it was £24 million. £24 million? Yeah, £24 million for Areola. A really smart signing. And again, it is a few £1 million over his valuation, but he's definitely worth it. Again, you've got to think about it right now. 81 overall. He's already good enough to be your number one. And when he gets to 89 overall, it'll be an absolute animal. So definitely worth signing. And in my opinion, should be your number one target for a new number one. Now, for Gareth Barry, you can see we sold him to Manchester United for £1.6 million. And also another one of those players there that I just mentioned, meeting that criteria, that are coming towards the end of their sort of like prime careers, if you will. Aaron Lennon, 29 years old, 78 overall, the former Spurs winger. Not a bad player to have in your side, like Darren Gibson, high 70 overall. Not a bad player to have in your side, but they're not going to grow any more ratings. They're not going to get any better. You may as well sell them on for the most amount of money you can afford right now, or I should say you can gather right now and acquire right now. I should say gather? Gather? Who says gather right now? Gather money from clubs right now. The most amount of money you can acquire from clubs right now. Sell them whilst you can, get as much money as you can for them, and then look for those younger replacements. More on that later. But Areola did come in there for £24 million, and you'll see his full stats once again in just a moment's time. A really awesome signing, and there are tons of other goalkeepers you could look to sign, but I would say this guy is the first choice, at least in my opinion. 81 overall, 89 potential. It just makes sense, really. And even though you will still have Stecklenburg and Robles as well, some people think that would be a waste having three goalkeepers. I still think the goalkeeper area is the weak link in the first 11 for Everton. That's why you should look to improve it and strengthen it straight away. And you can't say no to a goalkeeper with those stats of just 23 years old with 89 potential. So again, selling those players as well, going back to selling those players, Aaron Lennon would end up going to West Ham for £7 million. And interestingly enough, I would try and sell Tom Cleverley if you could. Real Sociedad came back to us after our first reject, if you will, counter offer, and said they give us £9.5 million. Now this is kind of interesting. I accepted this deal, but Cleverley in the end decided he didn't want to relocate and ended up staying at Goodison Park. I would recommend selling Cleverley if you could, but he's not a bad player. So if you can't sell those sort of players, like your Aaron Lennons, for example, like your Tom Cleverleys, then feel free to keep them here. I would recommend shipping them on and looking for younger replacements straight away, but it's not too big of a deal if you can't sell them all anyway in the first summer transfer window. Really, it's up to you whether you want to begin replacing them all straight away or just one or two here and there. As I almost choked. Anyway, for new signings as well, we signed Areola, we signed Carvalho as well. I'd also recommend this guy as well, Manchester United player, formerly of the Dutch League, Memphis. Yes, Memphis, the Dutch winger, a very talented young winger who, since signing for Manchester United, hasn't really done as well as some people would have hoped for, being a really hot prospect in world football, but is still an extremely good talent. There's no denying that, even though he's not had the best of starts to his career at Old Trafford. He's still an exceptional young player that could be an absolutely fantastic player in the future. You can get him for around £20 million, £3 million over his valuation. He's only 22 years old, don't forget, so got a long way to go in his career. He's an awesome player, has 4-star skills as well. He'll be a really awesome talent for you. And I think probably maybe a realistic signing, that one possibly. I don't really do realism, and I say at the start of the episode, these aren't realistic transfers, but possibly a bit of a realistic transfer there. I think Memphis will be a great signing and a really good pickup for £20 million as your long-term replacement for Kevin Morales. So imagine Memphis and Deulofeu on the wings for Everton at Goodison Goodison Park for many years to come. But still, for a couple more sales as well, one other player I'd recommend getting rid of, Brian Oviedo, the Costa Rican left back. Not a bad player, 26 years old, 72 overall, but I'd still recommend selling him if you could, as you probably won't have much of a future with him. And also Phil Jagielka as well. Now, this was an interesting one, because I know what's going to happen here. Everton fans are going to tear me to shreds for this, but I would say it's probably time to get rid of Jags if you can. He's 34 years old, and he decreases in stats pretty much straight away. He's going to rapidly decline so quickly, it's not worth keeping him here. So you can get enough money for him, around £7 to £8 million. As you can see, United took Gareth Barry and Phil Jagielka. How about that? £7 million for Jagielka. If you can sell him, I say sell him straight away, because he will decline his stats straight away. And I know, he's been at Everton for so long. He is their captain, but I would still say it's worth doing. Get £7 million for him, and then look to bring in those younger players. It really is important that you sell on players that are going to decline straight away as soon as you can, because basically the longer you leave it, the less amount of money you'll be able to acquire for them and get clubs to give you. So it's best to sell players that are declining as soon as possible. So if you can sell Jagielka in the first summer transfer window, you'll get the max amount of money possible. And if you leave it until the January transfer window or next season, for example, you may not even get half of what you get now. So sell him if you can. We got $7 million for him, and I tried to replace him with this guy right here, the fourth and final signing we try and make. Jonathan Tah, the German centre-back, currently playing for Bayer Leverkusen right now. A very talented young defender. They rejected our valuation bid, but as you would see, accepted our second bid, which was £20 million. And I think that even though he's £13 million more than Jagielka and the same overall right now at this point in this save, I would still say it's worth doing, because Jonathan Tah, as you can see, is 14 years younger, and he's got a lot more potential than Phil Jagielka, that's for sure. Tah gets to an 88 overall at his peak, and imagine this guy leading your back line as a future Everton captain possibly. He'd be an absolute animal for you in your defence, and a really awesome signing, even though it is £13 million more than what you'd probably get for Phil Jagielka. So Jonathan Tah is the fourth and final signing we do make for £20 million. I really ran this close to the budget here as well. We did pick him up though for £20 million, and again, a really awesome signing. He's 6'4", so an aerial monster. He's really strong as well, at just 20 years old too. He's so strong already, 20 years old, so strong already at 91 strength. So imagine when he gets his full potential, right, at 88. He'll be a really awesome player. He's a great player now. He'll just get better and better and better, keep on growing every season. He's a really awesome player. And also as well, I would recall one player from loan as well, and that is Luke Garbutt as well. Possibly Brendan Galloway if you want, but I recalled Luke Garbutt instead, as he was 3 ratings older. Once you sold Brian Oviedo, you won't have a backup left back, so just bring one of these guys back. You're not going to need them both out on loan. You may as well recall one of them. I'd recall Luke Garbutt over Brendan Galloway, but it's totally up to you really. But we recalled Garbutt from Wigan, and as you can see, he's our backup left back. A 71 overall, only a few ratings lower than Oviedo. Not too shabby business right there to get him back at Goodison Park, just to play as a backup for when Baines is either too tired, injured, or suspended. So in total, I spent £91 million with Everton on 4 players. That's a lot of money. You know, that's an awful lot of money for Everton. £91 million. We didn't even have to worry about the Arteta money bill. So £91 million for those 4 players there. And we raised £28.7 million too. For selling quite a few Deadwood players too. So in the end, it's quite a lot of money spent. But when you think about those 4 players coming in, all 4 of these players are going to play a role in the first team, as well as being great for the future as well. As you can see, even if you have Memphis on the bench and Morales starting on the left wing role, you still have him in the bench. And on the first team, you're bringing in Tah, you're bringing in Areola, and you're bringing in Carvalho. All 3 of those players are going to be in the first 11 right away. So 3 new signings for your first 11 and 1 for the bench as well. I'd say 4 pretty smart signings right there. And again, 87 potential for Memphis and Carvalho, 88 for Tah, and 89 for Areola. I think, despite the money spent, they'd all be worth that cash. We simulated the end of the season anyway with Everton to see how they'll get on as per usual, and as you could see, Everton actually finished in 2nd place in the Premier League. How about that? 9 points behind the eventual winners, Chelsea, top of the table, but still 2nd place for Everton, qualified for the Champions League. We met that objective, fantastic stuff, but I will be honest here, I failed the FA Cup objective, and in quite embarrassing fashion as well. We were supposed to reach the semi-finals, didn't even make it onto the tournament tree. However, we did actually win a trophy in the first season. The EFL Cup was won after Everton beat Manchester City in the final by 2-1. So even though it doesn't count as an objective, that would be Everton's first trophy in over 20 years. So to be honest, I've got to say, even though I failed the FA Cup objective, and quite embarrassingly so as well, I would still consider this a really successful first season at Goodison Park. And And I've got to say here, if you offered Everton fans this type of season in real life, you know, finishing in second place in the Premier League and winning their first trophy in over 20 years, if you offer that to Everton fans, they would bite your hand off and your arm off as well. That would be a fantastic season, and I'm sure Ronald Koeman would absolutely love that outcome at the end of his first season in charge at Goodison Park. So I really do believe this will be a great first season, and again, those 4 new signings as well, improving straight from the get-go. William Carvalho, Memphis, Tar and Areola, all having 87 potential plus. It is £91 million spent on just 4 players, but they would all be worth it. You're bringing in great talent into your first team straight away. They're already going to be good enough for your first team, and they're just going to get better year after year after year. And in addition to the talent already here, like Lukaku, Barkley, Delafeu as well, I think this Everton side will be set up for a really successful few years at Goodison Park with you, and this will be a great team that could possibly keep their place in the Champions League year in, year out, and possibly, soon enough, compete for Premier League titles as well. It's a really fun team, Everton. I'll definitely say as well, if you're planning on doing a Premier League career mode, but don't know who to start with, I would definitely recommend Everton. It'll be a really, really fun team for you, and I think with these 4 signings too, you'd have a lot of fun and begin to get success right from the first season. But that will end today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, so a massive thank you for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed today's episode and enjoyed the tips I gave as well, then please do leave a like, as likes are of course very much appreciated, and it really helps the channel grow as well. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic evening. Don't forget to leave me a comment today as well, and tell me who you want to see next in Who to Sign For series, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.